What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Of course, you know it's your boy B High Radio shouting, hey man, I got a radio legend and icon and a Hall of Famer off in the building with me today. I'm talking about the man, the myth himself, Rick Ross. What's good with it, boss?
What's up, bro?
Man, appreciate you coming through here and sharing some of your time with me,
Man,
because I know you out here getting busy 24/7, Rick.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, but it's all good, bro.
Talk to me about the state of the music industry right now, man. Out here working these records and making sure that everything goes forward. What is the state of everything?
Man, for me, you know, it's a grind every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The music industry is definitely changing every day,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in terms of the amount of product that's being placed in the marketplace.
Thanks.
I mean, there's records coming out, whether you're on the major, whether you're on the independent side. I mean, it's just a ton of music that's coming out. So, I mean, it's really good for the consumer because, you know, there's a variety of whatever. Something out there for everybody. And that's what I always tell, you know, these artists. Like, your audience is out there.
Yeah.
You just have to identify who they are.
As a record rep, with the advent of social media and everything else and all of this digital stuff that's going on, does it change the way that you work those records?
For me, no, because, you know, it's back to the basics.
Okay.
You know, my job every day is to get records played at radio.
Mm-hmm.
That's my gig, you know. So, you know, we use all those things as tools, but at the same time, you know, it comes down to the quality of the music. You know, of course, relationships. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, the first one that hits the finish line is the winner.
Come on, man.
You know, so for me, you know, it's about just being knowledgeable of the product that you're working.
That's right.
Being able to provide the stations with the information that they need to make the best judgment in terms of putting records in. And, you know, using all of that information, whether it's streaming, whether it's the social media information, artists out touring, all of that stuff still matters. So it's just more information for us to digest and for us to share to our radio partners.
Answer me this, Rick. I understand and know that you got it out of the mud when it came to your career. You know, started off at the bottom, worked your way to the top. How do you feel about the industry as a whole right now when a lot of people might not have the same love and passion that you had for it coming into it, or not putting in as much work? And does that reflect in the quality of what's going on in the record business right now as well?
Oh man, you know, I had this conversation a lot with a lot of brothers, man, and sisters. You know, for me, you know, like you said, I came in in an era where you had to make your bones. You know what I'm saying? I started off working in the warehouse.
My God.
At Warren Electric Atlantic.
Yes, sir.
Packing vinyls and cassettes and just learning the whole distribution of the music. You know, and just, you know, learning everything that I could learn that prepared me for when I took my first promotion job. One, the opportunities that we had back then don't exist now. You know, Atlanta back in, you know, 70s and the 80s, man, you know, everybody had an office here.
Yeah.
You know, Warner, you know, SEMA, which was Capitol back then. You had Sony, Mercury, Polydor. I mean, like, that was a presence from every company in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So you had an opportunity to get internships at those branches to really study up under, you know, promotion people, marketing people, sales. You know, everything was happening. Once everything started to turn, with the formation of digital media and digital downloads and all that stuff, and that became less and less need for branches. CDs started going away, music stores started shutting down, so you don't need all those people. So the last office that I worked out of was when I was at Atlantic. And then once I left Atlantic, I think the branch might have been, well, it wasn't really a branch because we were down at the Biltmore.
Yeah.
That office probably shut down and then that was it. So we were like the last man standing in terms of a company based in Atlanta that had an office. So once that shut down, everybody started working from their homes.
Yeah.
So with that went interns. Nobody wants no. You can't do that out. At your house. You don't want people coming to your house. So so that wasn't really a need.
Yeah.
So now you got a lot of young people that are getting into the business, pretty much just figuring it out. Whether they're coming out of college and having communication degrees or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Trying to get internships in LA or New York or some boutique label that's looking for interns.
Yeah.
And really just coming in the game that way.
What was your journey like though, Rick? I mean, coming from the bottom, and then also when you got all of those promotions, what was it about you that allowed you to get those promotions versus your counterparts and folks that were working with you?
First of all, I was always the youngest on the staff. When I took my first promotion job in '91, I was the youngest on the staff, and I was the only one that was working from their home. At that time, we still had a branch. We had Atlanta branch. We had a branch in DC. We had branches all around, so a lot of the promotion people worked out of the branches.
Yeah.
For me, I worked out of my home, so I had to work twice as hard. I didn't have interns. I had to mail my own records out. I had to do my reports. I had to do everything that they could have, had an intern to come in and do. So I just always just outworked everybody. I tried to anyway. Stayed out on the road, just learning my craft. And just really just being hard-nosed about just learning the industry and learning the business of promotions. And, one thing led to another. So, then when, it's crazy because you see guys coming in the market and the first person they would reach out to would be me. So it would be like, yo, need to call Rick, holler at him. He can give you some advice. He can,
That's right.
And then that just came to be like the norm. Like when, new reps would come into the marketplace, they would reach out to me. Versus when I went in the marketplace, I would reach out to, to the older reps, and just kind of get that advice and get the insight on how to move, even just driving. Because back then we had no GPS. You had to use a map. MapQuest.
Come on.
Sometimes
I wonder how we even survived before MapQuest. Because I remember just even back when I worked in radio, we had those remotes. And when we first started, when I first got there, we were doing the remotes. You would have to print it out off of MapQuest, off of online, and then you got this paper, you trying to drive, you trying to figure out how the hell to get to where the hell you need to go to, because you don't know where the hell you going. You're going all over the country, though. So what was that like, having a crazy-ass artist in the car with you trying to go over the country with a sheet of paper?
Man, you literally, like, for me, especially if I had to meet an artist, and I lived out of Charlotte, so I worked the Carolinas, North and South Carolina. So Raleigh, Greensboro, Fayetteville, Wilmington, North Carolina, Charleston. All these places.
Dang.
So for me, I would, like, if I had to meet an artist in Raleigh, right? I would go up a day early. I would do my routes on where I needed to go, point A, point B.
Exactly.
And I would just do a dry run.
Come on.
So when I had the artist in the car with me, I didn't look like I was crazy, like getting lost. One time I did get lost, man. I was in Raleigh. And I had to pick up, I had Roger Troutman coming in the market, and I had to pick his brother up from the airport. And cause he was meeting the bus there, cause they traveled, they had a bus. So it was Larry. So I had to pick Larry up from the airport in Raleigh. So I had went up the day before and did a dry run. But when he got in the car, man, I was so nervous, man. I was going around Raleigh, and he was like, young brother, I see you lost. He was like, he was like, just pull over and get it together. Like, he was real cool about it.
Yeah.
But man, I was nervous, man. I'm picking up, I'm about to drive Roger Troutman around.
Crazy.
But he was real cool, man. Roger was probably one of the first artists that I really worked with that I seen a real professional, like, really work. Like, this is how you're supposed to go out and do radio. He was a professional.
Come on now.
Like, when he went and did radio, it was like he was doing a concert.
Damn.
He would take the keyboard and the amp.
Oh, he ready to go.
He would be on fire, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, this dude taking the amp and taking the little voice quarter thing in there and doing interviews. Like, it was crazy. It was like a whole production when he did interviews. But after I got the hang of it, I just always had, like, you got to prepare, especially when you got artists in the car with you, man, and you got to be at places in certain times. You got to know how to put together itinerary. You got to know how to give yourself enough cushion and time. Give yourself at least 30 to an hour in case traffic is bad or something like that. Constant communication with the radio station, letting them know where hey, I'm on my way. Yeah. This is where I'm at. Da-da-da-da, if there's any changes. Just really just doing all of your homework, not just getting in the car and just going.
What was the biggest pickle that you found yourself in with you having to coordinate all of that stuff, and how the hell did you get up out of it, Rick?
One time I had this group in the car, female group, Ex-Girlfriend. They were produced by Full Force. And we were riding. We were going to, I think we were going to either, we might have been going up to Raleigh. And man, I was so nervous. I was trying to get there in a good time.
Yeah.
That I was speeding. I didn't even know it, bro. And the cops pulled me over with the artist in the car, and I was like, oh man, this is not good.
Yeah.
I just knew that they were gonna just, tell that I was,
Yeah.
He pulled me over. He gave me, I don't know if he gave me a ticket or a warning, but man, I was nervous, bro. I just like, man, I got these artists in the car. I'm getting pulled over. Like, what's about to happen?
Yeah.
But, for me, it was, I always had a good relationship with artists on the road. Always. Yeah. Like, the first thing, that I would tell them, like, yo, we're in this together.
Come on now.
We're out here together. This ain't record company versus artists. Like, we, the only difference is I got to get up earlier than you all because I still got other records that I got to work, and I still got to do my day-to-day job. Yeah. Doesn't matter whether or not I'm on the road with an artist. I still got to work those other records. So I always had that understanding, with the artists, like, yo, we're out here together. So whatever goes out, whatever happens on the road, it happens on the road.
Yeah.
That calling back to L.A. and New York, hey, he doing this, he doing, this ain't going right. I never really had artists do that on me, know. I've always had great relationships.
Did you find yourself having to call on the artist and say, what y'all got me here with this crazy ass fool?
Yeah, I did. My first promo tour.
What?
Raleigh again.
Yeah.
I was up there doing, we was doing a show for the station, and I had this artist by the name of Granddaddy IU.
Granddaddy IU.
He had this record called Sugar Free. The record was, I mean, it was moving. And get up to Raleigh, and they get there. So I check in. I'm in my room, and then they get there. So we talking. He was like, "Hey, yo, what room you in?" I gave him my room number. Man, come to find out, the dude was charging stuff to my room. Right?
Granddaddy IU.
Charging stuff to my room. So, and I didn't know this until I got the bill, but what really tipped everything off, Cy Young, who was the program director at that time, and Cy was, Cy was like, he was like the PD that, he would test everybody. Like if you could deal with Cy, then you're gonna be a good rep.
Exactly.
Because he was no joke. He was a no joke PD. Good guy, fair guy, but he didn't play. So he called me. He was like, "Yo, your artist." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" They're in the limo, smoking and drinking. It's like early, and it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. He going to sound check.
Yeah.
Cy was hot. I mean, he was mad. I'm like, oh man, I'm about to get fired.
Yeah.
Man, I had to write a 2-page report explaining what happened and all this stuff. And long short, that was the last of his promo tour. He never went back out again.
Damn, granddaddy, how you?
Yeah, he never went back out on the road again. At least not with me. So I had to call my boss, David Linton, and and everybody got involved. And I was like, and then David knew Cy. I called him, so it was like a whole bunch. It was a big mess, man. I was like, oh man, my first promo tour, I'm about to get fired.
Answer me this though, Rick. From the time you was in the warehouse up until now, what were those aha moments that you came across? Was the industry everything that you expected it to be, or were there different things that matured you along the way to make you say, my God, I didn't see this coming. I didn't know that this was going on, or I needed to be prepared for this?
Well, the beautiful thing for me is because I worked in the branch, so I saw a lot. So you knew what you was getting into. Yes, I saw more than the average person who didn't work in the branch saw.
Yeah.
Because I worked around all the promo people.
That's right.
And all the marketing people and the sales people. So I saw people come in, I saw people leave. When I say leave, get fired. I seen all that. I sat in their office, I listened to them talk on the phone, to radio stations and all this stuff. So I had a sense of that, like, okay, I can't do this.
Yeah.
People doing stuff on their expenses, on their corporate cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, this right here get you in trouble. You get fired quick for that than you will for not getting a record played. So I saw all of that type of stuff. Even before I even took my first promotion job.
Yeah.
So I was aware, like, yo, these are things that you are not supposed to do. You know what I'm saying?
Being in the Carolinas, working those records, was it easier to work those records in the Carolinas than it is in the bigger cities, or how was that?
No, absolutely.
And then why is it so doggone difficult in the smaller cities?
Well, it wasn't really small. Carolinas broke a lot of product.
Okay, now.
And you
got to explain that too.
A lot of people, a lot of great radio people and promo people came out of the Carolinas.
That's
Carolina was like the breeding ground, the testing ground for a lot of reps and DJs.
Okay.
A lot of your DJs now that have gone on to do some big things in the business, a lot of them worked in the Carolinas. And it was just that market where it was, every company had a rep in the Carolinas.
Yeah.
Whether you lived in Charlotte, whether you lived in Raleigh, everybody was there.
Yeah.
So the Carolinas was like a breakout market. So I was the first rep at that time to work out of the Carolinas for Reprise.
Yeah.
Reprise was a subsidiary of Warner Brothers. So the guy who was working the market prior to me, he didn't live in the Carolinas. He was based in Miami. So he would have to come from Miami all the way to the Carolinas. So he jumped over Atlanta, came to the Carolinas. So they was like, yo, we need a rep in the Carolinas.
Yeah.
So I was the first rep to actually live and work in the Carolinas.
My God.
For Reprise. And we didn't have the best records. Boy, woo, man. We didn't have the best records. Because what they did was Reprise was, I don't know if you know the history of Reprise. Reprise was a label started by, it was Frank Sinatra's label. Yeah. So if you go back and look at some of the early stuff, you'll see Frank Sinatra was on Reprise Records. Jimi Hendrix was on Reprise. So the label went dormant, and then they brought it back. So so when they brought it back, they put on a whole separate staff, because before then it was just Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
And then because Warner Brothers had Cold Chillin', which had Biz Markie, you know, the whole Juice Crew, MC Shan, all that stuff. So then once they started Reprise, they kind of switched some of those artists over. Well, we're gonna put Big Daddy Kane. It'll still be Cold Chillin', but Reprise is gonna work his stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what happened back then. So once I started working for Reprise, then Irvin Azoff started Giant Records. Giant Records, we had Color Me Bad, we had the New Jack City soundtrack, we had Jade. I mean, you know, then we were kind of like on fire.
Exactly. You
know, going out on tour with Color Me Bad when they opened up for Paul Abdul, and going out with them when they was on tour with, did they go out with Boys and the Man? Can't remember. But anyway, that was huge back then. You know what I'm saying? So we were kind of working, you know, we started working their stuff as well. Christopher Williams.
Yeah.
You know, so we kind of, you know, it kind of picked up for us in terms of music. But, you know, but man, it was rough.
What was it like going on tour with these artists?
It was cool. I mean, you know, for me, it was all work, man. You know, it was
okay. Because is it true that they say that, you know, the artist partied hard, but Rick was the real rock star on the bus?
Nah, I was never on the bus. I always drove, man. I ain't really, you know. I mean, after we do the show and stuff like that, you just kind of go and do your thing, and they go do their thing, you know. No wild parties, none of that stuff, man. You know, people be thinking, you know, not for me anyway.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Now I did work with Luke. I ain't gonna tell you that story.
Oh, see, that's what they want to know, Rick.
You got to wait for the book.
I'm with you.
But no, I worked with some really cool artists, man. And like I said, I never really had any real issues with artists. You know, a couple of them I did had to tell them, man, you can't be smoking the dope in here while I'm driving.
Yeah.
You know, but once I explained to them why, they got it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, all these black dudes in a van or a pickup or
with
whatever.
Dope in it?
Yeah, man, you getting pulled over in the Carolinas, man, they didn't play.
Of course not.
They didn't play.
Talking about the South.
They pulled one of my guys over. They laid him down on the ground. Pulled all his product out the car and everything.
Damn.
Laid him down. Like, nah, they didn't play, man. You did not want to get, not in the Carolinas.
I got a question for you, Rick, and this is the question that everybody wants an answer to. Me and EJ and DJ, well, EJ the DJ have a rap group called EJ, Jazzy, Jeff, and B-High. And we just made a record, and we trying to get it on radio. How the hell do we do that, Rick?
Man, that's a whole nother show in itself. No, man, but what I tell guys is it's a process.
Yeah.
You know, it's like baking a cake. You got to get everything together. You got to get all the right ingredients. You got to, you know, radio is the cherry on the top. It's the icing on the cake, as we say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you got to do all those other things before you get to that point.
What are some of those other things, though? Because, see, don't nobody want to hear that.
I mean, man, it's like you trying to get rid of pen and paper. You can never do that.
Yeah.
You know, people are always going to use pen and paper. Yeah. So for me as a promo guy, and what I tell artists, you got to still hit the streets. You got to still touch the people. You got to do all those things that we did back in the day. None of that has changed. You still got to do the basics.
Yeah.
You got to lay the foundation. It's like you can't build a house on sand. So you got to have a solid foundation. So you got to be in the streets. You got to be touching these DJs. You got to do all the leg work. And on top of that, you got to learn how to work your social media.
Mm.
So now it's actually more work than it was then.
Yeah.
Because now the first thing people going to say, well,
what them numbers looking like?
What them numbers looking like? You got that blue check? I mean, they want to, I mean, that's just another layer that you got to do. So you can't be a lazy artist.
Yeah.
And then you got to know how to post, what to post.
Yeah.
So it's more work that artists have to put in. Making the music, that's nothing.
Yeah.
That's what you do anyway. What about the other stuff? And that's why, I mean, I can look at an artist and tell whether they're going to be successful or not.
What is it about them that you can tell?
Their work ethic. Putting the time in. You know? Listening.
Yeah.
Looking. You know, taking advice from people who know the game. See, a lot of these artists, man, they think they know everything.
People too. Shit, everybody's dealing with these folks out here.
You know, and then, you know, the homeboy management stuff still exists. So you got, you know, your homeboys managing you. You got somebody who, you know, can put some money into your career, but that don't mean that they were manager.
Yeah.
You need people who know the business, got contacts, got, you know, can tell you, give you game. Man, I had artists calling me and managers calling me for advice all the time, bro. And I'm like, what? You got a deal and you, it's crazy, bro.
My God.
Like, it's a lot of people faking it in this business.
Break that part down too. I mean, understanding and being able to see through what's fake and understanding what's real. Because see, in a world where perception is reality, is what real? Does that even matter anymore? Especially in a business like music?
Nope.
Break it down.
It's escapism. People want to be something, see something that they're not. Take them out of the space that they're in. I mean, you know, come on, man. You know, listen to the lyrics and look at a lot of these kids' lifestyles.
Yeah.
Don't mean nothing. I mean, it's just, you know, it's just words.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just it's words. It's not really. It's not real. I remember one time, me and Tip, he was talking to some kids, and he said, you know what y'all problem is? He said, y'all don't know how to hit the pause button. He said, because y'all take this music, a lot of this music, as real life, and it's a form of entertainment. A lot of these guys that are rapping this stuff ain't living that lifestyle. We talk about this all the time. It's nothing. It's nothing new.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that we, you know, people say all the time. So, you know, what they say, art imitates life.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
Come on now. Come on now.
Because if art imitates life, then that means that the art and the stuff that they are rapping about is really their life.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of kids out here faking it, talking about they got this and they got that, and they still stand at home with their mom, you know, and they ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
So, you know, but that's what people like. You know, people like to be lied to. They like, you know, they like that. So, you know, people gonna feed into it. They gonna give them what they want to hear. So that's just what it is, and it's not going to change. I mean, that's just the art.
Were there ever any artists that you came across that had such a good personality and such a good product that made you want to go the extra mile to work to try to get that record up through there?
Oh yeah, man, yeah.
Who were those artists, and then did they have hit records, or was it just like, I'm trying to help you, and it just ain't going well for you, brother?
Yeah. I'm not gonna name names, but yeah, I have worked a lot of artists that I personally like, but they just didn't have the goods. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, they just couldn't cut. And then, you know, some of them I like, and they had the goods, but, you know, the companies might not have just not being 100% behind them. You know?
Yeah.
So I've seen both sides of it.
What is it like seeing those dreams deferred up close and personal, man?
Man, it's for me, it's just part of the gig. For them, you know, it could be devastating.
In the world, yeah.
Yeah, you know, see everything that you worked hard for, and then you get that shot, and then it doesn't really happen for you. Then you got to start over from scratch. You know, I've even had artists, you know, come to me and say, man, I don't even want to be on the label no more. And I'm like, well, before you make that decision,
Yeah.
let me just give you some things to think about.
Yeah.
And, you know, some of them have listened, some have said, you know what, I'm out. Then when they find out that they can't go anywhere else, then it's like, hey man, can you like, nah, bro, that ain't even my lane. Like I'm a promo guy. Like I don't have anything to do with that. You made the decision that you wanted to get off the label. Now you see that, as they say, the grass ain't green on the other side.
Yeah.
Instead of staying here and working through it. But that also relies on your team to be able to give you sound advice too.
Yeah. What is it that a major label provides that takes artists' careers to another level? Because that's one of the things that everybody's looking for. Okay, one, we covered trying to get on the radio, but the other one is they want a major label deal. What is it that an artist needs to be looking for out of that deal, and what is it that the label provides to the artist to make it worth it?
I mean, it's the machine behind. You got professionals who know, supposedly know their position and know the business of taking an artist from 0 to 60.
Yeah.
So you want that machine behind you. It's just a lot it's a lot that comes with that. You know, you got your promotion staff, you got your marketing staff, you got publicity, you know, you got the support staff, you know, digital media sales, all that type of stuff is behind you.
Yeah.
But you also have to make yourself a priority in the company. Because a lot of times, you know, when A&R sign records, that don't mean everybody in the building likes the music. So, you know, A&R guy likes it, you know, CEO, chairman, whoever signs off on it, but you still got to convince promotions, you got to convince marketing that, hey, you know, we need to move them higher up on the food chain, or they need to simmer a little more, and you know, before we get to them to take them to the next level. But you're in the building.
Yeah.
You know, so step one is, you know, you've gotten in the building. Now you got to prove to everybody in the building that you're worthy to be worked.
Thanks.
You know what I'm saying? So that can be a challenge in itself. So, you know, a lot of meetings happen, but, you know, that's just part of being, you know, on the team.
Yeah.
You know, you made the team.
Yeah.
Now you got to
starting spot.
Now you got to prepare for the starting spot.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's just like going to the NFL or the NBA. Like, I'm on the team.
You got to earn that thing though if you want to start.
Well, if you want to start, you got to put the work in.
My God.
And a lot of them, they think because they're on the winning team that they don't have to put the work in. You got to work twice as hard, because now not only are you competing with other artists that are not on the label or on other labels, you got to compete with the artists that are in the building. You know, so it's like you competing with your teammates.
That's right.
For that spot.
Okay, Rick, over your illustrious career, you hauled off and found yourself in the Hall of Fame for it, man.
Yeah.
How does one get inducted to the Hall of Fame? What kind of smackdown were you laying in this game for them to have to say, you know what, we got to put Rick Ross in the Hall of Fame for this?
Man, I mean, it's actually an honor. I'm humbled by this, you know, by this I don't know if you call it an award or this, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
I'm humbled.
Honor.
You know, yeah, I'm definitely, you know, but I never considered myself anything but just a record rep who loved music.
Yeah.
So my mentor, Teddy Ashton, had texted me one day, and he was like, you're being considered for the Hall of Fame. And I was just like, okay, cool. Then a couple of days later, he hit me back. He said, you've been inducted into the Hall of Fame. So I'm still like, what in the hell is he talking about?
Yeah.
So I called him up. I was like, Ted, I ain't trying to be funny, but what is this? He said, you've been inducted into the National Black Radio Hall of Fame.
My God.
And I'm like, what? So I started doing my research on it, and I was like, oh, snap.
There's some bad boys in there.
I said, man, this thing is huge.
Come on.
Then I had started, because I had saw Hurricane Dave post something about he was being inducted.
Yeah.
And then Derek Harper, he posted something. Then Darlene McCoy, he posted something.
Woo.
And then I think my man Rick Party, he posted something. So I started seeing all these people that I know and work with posting.
Exactly.
And I was like, yo, I work with all
I'm in
these
that
people.
number.
Yeah, all these are my people.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is. So I told my wife, I said, hey, I say, baby, this is pretty big.
Yeah.
And man, I was just honored to just be, considered.
Yeah.
But to be a part and to actually be inducted is a whole nother thing. So it still really hadn't sunk in yet.
The ups and downs of the game, though. During times where you found yourself losing jobs and coming back, what gave you that tenacity and that vigor to come back even harder than you was when you started?
My love for the music. I've been let go several times, but because I love what I do.
Facts.
I love it's always been about the music for me. I never got caught up on wanting to be a vice president, and that was just never my thing. I've always wanted to be close to the music, be close to the streets, keeping my my hand on the pulse, knowing what's going on in the marketplace. Not being stuck in, as we call, the ivory tower. In meetings, in and out. Some people, that's what they want to do. Now I ain't saying that the money is crazy. The money is crazy.
Yeah.
But that was just never my thing. It was never. I just never wanted to be a VP. I had the opportunity.
What made you turn it down?
One, like I said, I like being in the streets. Number one. Number two, I had to be considerate of my wife. You know what I'm saying? Now the money's, like I say, being a VP, money is, be really good. But I also looked at the longevity too. And I've just known too many of my partners who have taken those positions that, had a successful run, but not a longer run than I've had as a regional and a national.
Yeah.
So I just kind of weighed the options and said this, and I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Being in the, being out in the, as we say, in the field.
Yeah.
Being close to the music, being able to spend time with the artists and going around the radio and really, homing in on those relationships, and just always been my thing. And there's nothing wrong with people aspiring to be vice president. That just never was my thing. I never had that on my list to be. Even from the beginning, it was never about saying I'm gonna get in the business, I'm gonna be a vice president. Now, what I did want to do, I wanted to do A&R because I think it goes hand in hand in what we do.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've always had people sending me music. Yeah, I've always and I've had some big artists that have come through my hands, and the labels didn't sign them.
What?
Yeah.
Can you mention those? Can you speak on that?
It's I don't know what I don't know what it is about A&R and promotions because, you know, we worked the records. My thing was I would never send an artist into the company that I wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So for me, it was always, okay, if I'm going to send something in, it's got to be something that I would work.
Yeah.
Because if it gets signed, I got to work it.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so I've had a couple of artists that got deals that became really big, and the company, they moved too slow or they didn't move at all.
My God.
Yeah.
Were there ever any times in your career where you thought that this might not be for you or you wanted to move on?
Nah. It's always what I wanted to do. Man, I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
I've been doing this I've been doing this for 36 years.
My God.
You know, I was a teenager when I started this.
Woo.
You know. So that's all I know.
When it comes to that passion though, Rick, you also pass it down to the next generation at the same time.
Yeah.
With the music education group, man.
Yeah. So this is, you know, how this all came about. 17 years ago. I was out. I was actually out. I was out, but I was in. I was out because they had let everybody go, but I was in because they still had to pay me for 2 years.
Ooh.
So I was still getting a check.
Yeah.
While I was sitting at home. But it gave me an opportunity to just really work on Rick, work on me, because for years I had given everything to the business.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
I'm with you.
So for 2 years, I just sat down, you know, got my life together, you know, gave my life to Christ. And
who had your life before?
Huh?
I said, who had your life before?
Oh, it wasn't him. It was him, but I didn't acknowledge it.
I'm with you.
You know what I'm saying?
With you.
You know,
Yeah.
I just had to sit down and really look at my life and look at the direction it was going in. I mean, God has always protected me. He's always been there for me. I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for him.
Thanks.
So I had that knowledge that he was always there. I wasn't. You know what I'm saying? So for 2 years, I sat down. I didn't do nothing in the industry. Nothing.
What did that do for you during that time? I'm going to come back to MEG, but what did that do for you mentally, being able to sit out for 2 years and relax?
Peace.
Yeah.
No stress.
Come on now.
You know, was able to live outside of the industry.
Yeah.
Because I never have. I never was around like people with, you know, everyday
Regular
job.
folks.
Yes. Everybody I hung around was in the industry. It's like being in the mob.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
And my wife used to tell me, it's like every time we go to dinner, that's all y'all talk about. Like it always
because it's entertaining.
It would always end up with us talking about work.
Yeah.
It was so I couldn't carry on regular conversations with anybody that wasn't in the business.
Dang.
It was like that, bro.
Yeah.
Like I ain't got nothing in common with these folks. Like, not saying that I was better than them, but I just didn't have
what you had to talk about.
I'm like, what am I gonna talk about?
Exactly.
So I literally had to learn how to deal with people that were not in the industry. What better way to do it than do, you know, learning about, you know, my spiritual walk.
Come on.
You know, and that's how I was able to do it. So I was at home, joined the church, and you know, everything was going good, but the devil always has a way of sneaking back in, and you know, had some issues that I had to deal with.
Yeah,
but thank God.
Yeah,
you know, I got up and I continued to move forward in life and had some really good people behind me.
That's right.
And on the side of me, and my wife was, you know, she's incredible. So So I'm sitting around the house one day, and I'm just praying to God, and he gave me this vision about the music education group. So I started, working on that, putting it together, what I'm gonna call it, what's the image gonna look like, the logo, just like what is the program gonna be, all this stuff just started, it just started coming to me, and I'm just putting down stuff, writing down stuff. And it was a while before I even told my wife what I was working on.
Yeah. So
I got it all together, and I said, I want to start this organization. And told her what it was. She said, let's rock out. So then I get the phone call from my brother, Ronnie Johnson. God bless his soul. Ronnie was at Atlantic. He said, hey, I got a job for you. He said, Ted Lucas at Slip and Slide is looking for a national promotion person. So I was like, okay, cool. So get on the phone with Ted. Ted's a Christian. We talking, we chopping it up. We worked the deal out. He sent me the paperwork. I signed off on it. Like 2 weeks later, Ronnie hits me back. He was like, yo, I need you at Atlantic. I was like, dude, I just did the deal with Ted.
Yeah.
He said, don't worry about it. You're going to be working his stuff anyway.
Anyway, yeah.
So I went to Atlantic, and, that's when I met Tip.
Yeah.
I started working with Tip. Now, at the same time, I'm still putting MEG together on what this thing going to look like. And, just one thing led to another. I started, doing these, I would have artists come in the marketplace. It's like, put together a promo tour. So I started doing stuff with another partner of mine, Kurt B. He had, he changed the name of it, Saving Our Daughters Now. But we started doing stuff together, and it just kind of grew. So I started I would have artists come in the market, and we would take them to schools, and we would do these master classes. And then we started doing stuff with the, Boys and Girls Club. And then everything just started growing. Then the program just started developing itself.
Yeah.
And then I started doing a lot of stuff with Tip. I helped him with all of his community service stuff when all that stuff was going down with him. And that just kind of really opened the door up. So people started calling me because I'm working with Tip. You know what I'm saying?
Know how that go.
I'm the one that's really driving all his community service stuff. So, everybody was calling for Tip to come and speak at this school, do this, do that. And the crazy part about it, APS would not allow us to come into any of the schools.
Are you serious?
Superintendent back then, she would not allow us to come into the school. So we started doing a lot of stuff in DeKalb County.
Yeah.
So we was doing
they
a
would
lot
have
of
loved to
stuff.
see Tip in the APS.
Yeah,
now, that's just ridiculous.
So she wouldn't let us in. So it was cool, but we did a lot of stuff in DeKalb, and then a lot of people started calling and stuff. So it just got big and big and big. So then that's when I really was like, okay, let's really focus on programming and just really getting everything together. So the program just started growing and growing and growing. And then my executive director, now James, I met him. He wanted me to come to Charlotte and speak on a panel. And so we just built a relationship, and one thing, led to another. And, then Ronnie was like, yo, I'm leaving Atlantic. I'm like, where you going? So I'm going to Capitol. I was like, what? He was like, yo, you want to come with me? So like, yeah.
Come on now.
Let's go. Brought me to Capitol. And the crazy part about it is, I don't never really mention the labels that I work for, but I have to mention this because it's full circle. That was the label that fired me.
Damn.
And then he brought me back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
were some of those same people in the building?
nah, none of them were there. Nah, clean house from the top to the bottom.
Crazy.
Top to the bottom. But, you know, it just kind of came full circle, you know, for me with that. And then, of course, Ronnie died. And, you know, I've been through all of the mergers and, you know, all the different bosses and all that stuff. So, you know, man, you know, it's been a great ride. But, you know, for me, just being passionate about what I do has allowed me to really stay in it. But now I have balance in my life too.
That's right.
Where I didn't at first.
Come on now.
You know, so was part of a church we planted, you know, founder members of a church for like 16 years. You know, I was a deacon and I was the sound man. I was the janitor. I mean, I did everything. I did everything and loved every minute of it.
My
God. And you know, it was probably, outside of marrying my wife, it was the best thing that I've ever done.
Yeah.
Outside of, you know, the career.
Exactly. When you speak of your wife, can you talk about how important it was for you to have that partner going through all of this stuff?
Absolutely, man. We've been together 34, 35 years.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we just celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary in May, and she's been with me the entire time. Like, this ain't nobody just saw me, you know, when I was here. She saw me when we ain't had nothing.
Come on, man.
When we couldn't even, you know, buy two brand new tires on the car. You know, she just graduated from the University of Alabama in Huntsville.
Yeah.
And we met through a mutual friend. He was a program director at a radio station down in Huntsville. And I met her through him. And then it was so funny, that the second time I saw her, me and Teddy we were in Birmingham, sitting in the hotel lobby before we went to the show, because he had Al B. Sure. That was a triple threat tour. New Edition, Bobby Brown, and Al B. Sure.
Yeah.
And she just so happened to be walking through the hotel, and we saw each other again, and we've been together ever since.
My God.
Yeah.
Now, Rick, I understand that you got an event on the way too, sir.
Yeah, man.
Talk to me.
Yep. So, you know, I'm a runner.
I understand that.
You know, I love running. That's, you know, I really talk about running more than I talk about the business.
All them damn awards you got.
Man, let me tell you how that started.
Yeah.
I've been running off and on all my life. My mom made this joke. She said, "Boy," she said, you used to unlatch the screen door and take off running. She said, "I'd be having Robert them chase you down through the project." You know, shout out to Greater Home.
Yes, sir.
ATL, baby.
Come on now.
I ain't coming. I'm from here.
Exactly now.
Grady, baby, all that. So she said I would take off running through the project and they had to catch me.
Yeah.
But I've never like just been like no sprinter or nothing. I ain't, you know, that wasn't me. But I fell in love with long distance running when I was in high school, because I played soccer and I ran cross country.
Yeah.
So I fell in love with it. And I ran track too. And back in like let me just take this back. So when I moved to Charlotte in '91, I kind of stopped running because of the job, and actually where I lived, it was like a main street. So I would get out every now and then and run, but nothing like it was before I left Atlanta. So we were in Charlotte for 10 years. I never ran a race up there, anything. So when we moved back here in 2001, one of my neighbors, and I was out of work for 2 years too, so I had some time on my hands. So he was like, "Yo, man, you know, come work out with me."
Yeah.
I was like, "Man, I don't lift weights, bro. Like, that ain't my thing." He said, all right, we'll, lift a little weights and then we'll go running. I was like, okay, bet. So we had a 1 mile route, come out, go down, come around, and that'd be it. So get me a mile in a day. So the 1 mile went from 1 mile to 2 mile, 3 mile. And he was like, yo, bro, I can't run with you no more. So, I had been running, and then I was like, you know what, I'm going to sign up for a race. Signed up for a race, 5K, running that, 10K, running that. I was like, man, I like this.
Yeah.
Then, I used to run this race that was, it started at Cumberland and it would go all the way to Whitewater. So it was like the toughest. It was like at that time they named it the toughest 10K in the U.S.
Oh my God! Because there's some hills on that.
All hills.
There's some hills.
All hills.
Real hills too. Ain't no little punk hills.
Nah. It was so bad that they would have the EMTs
ready to go
because people would be passing out during that race. So I would run that every year.
Yeah.
My wife, she would get up and she would go with me.
Yeah.
And she would just sit in the car until I would finish. So I started doing that.
Yeah.
And then 2007, I was like, you know what? I want to run a marathon. ING inaugural marathon in Atlanta. I ran. Had a trainer. Trained for it. 4 hours, like 40-something minutes. I ran that race. And then from that on, man, I just started running.
Yeah.
Every race that I could sign up for. My wife was like, yo, I'm not going with you. I'm not going with you.
Because the race is getting longer and longer.
Yeah.
It's cute when it's a 30-minute race. It's cute when it's an hour long. But when you start running for 5 and 7, 8 hours at a time.
Nah, bro. She was like, I'm not going no more. So I was like, okay, cool. So I just started running these races, man, and as I think, for me, it was like, man, as I gotten older, it's like I've gotten a lot bolder and want to experience a lot, a lot more.
Yeah,
especially with that.
Yeah.
It's like I've been into this endurance stuff now. So I was like, I'm gonna sign up for my first ultra.
Yeah.
So if anybody want to know what an ultra is anything past a marathon. Marathon is 26.2 miles. Anything past 26.2 miles is considered an ultra. So about 3 months ago, I signed up for one, and I ran my first ultra, which was a 50K out at Sweetwater Creek. 33 miles.
Woo.
Took me 9 hours and 40 minutes to run.
Oh my God.
The best thing I ever did in my life. I'm hooked.
What does that do to you running for 9 hours? Is it the scenery? Is it the meditation? Is it the scenery? Mind? What the hell?
It's the scenery. It's seeing how far you can push your body.
Yeah.
And it wasn't all running because it was actually up in the, if you ever been to Sweetwater, they got trails and stuff up there. Lot of rocks and stumps, and so my toes were black and blue, toenails falling off. Like I'm still, like, if you can see, that's still healing right there. God. So it was probably I felt so good running that race. Woo! Cause I was like, and it was, I don't even think it was 100 people that ran. I only seen one other brother out there. And the crazy part, I was coming off of a cold, so I wasn't like 100%.
Yeah.
But it's just seeing how far you can push the body.
That's right.
Seeing how far you can push the body. So I was just joking with a friend of mine yesterday. I said, man, people don't invite me to go work out with them. They don't want.
They ain't got time for your shit.
Ain't nobody mess with you, man. I can't even get nobody to go ride a bike with. But I just, for me, man, it was just, pushing the envelope, pushing the body to see how far I can go mentally before I break.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It was like, you know, I've always been a person, like, I ain't scared to try nothing.
Come on now.
Even if I fail, I win.
Exactly.
Because I did it.
Come on.
You know, and, you know, when you look back, you know, I've always lived life as if, for me, I never wanted to not try something and look back and say, man, I wish I would have I wish I would have tried it. Even if I fail, I still won.
Come on.
You know, I don't run for first place.
Yeah.
You know, I don't run against people. I run
For you.
for me.
Exactly.
And I run against the clock.
Yeah.
That's it. I want to finish. So long as I can finish, whether I come in first or whether I come in last, I finish.
That's right.
That's it.
Now, what you got going on this month coming up?
So, you know, I came up with something crazy again. so during COVID, we was all stuck in the house.
Facts.
And then I was like, man, I'm like, I still want to give back. I still want to do something to give back.
Yeah.
So I did a 14-day treadmill-a-thon then. That was so for 14 days straight, I ran on the treadmill for twice a day. The monies that we raised, we donated to Hosea Helps.
That's right.
So last year I did something on my birthday. We raised money for our annual Christmas event. This year, we've been talking about doing a mobile studio.
Yeah.
This came about because we were getting a lot of calls from a lot of areas to come and do programs. Not only in Atlanta, but on the outside.
Yeah.
LaGrange, Brunswick, you know, these smaller towns, they wanted us to, you know, bring our program. So me and James were talking. I was like, you know what, man, we really need to start raising money to build this mobile tech center.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, turning 56 this year.
Yes, sir.
I said, I want to do something big on my birthday. I said, I want to do another treadmill-a-thon. But this time, I'm going to do 12 hours on the treadmill.
Yeah.
So my wife was like, you're not going to be on the treadmill for 12 hours straight.
Shit.
You got to come and see. That's all I can say. You just got to come and see whether or not I'm going to be on the treadmill for 12 hours.
My God.
But, you know, the proceeds from this will go towards building this unit.
Yes, sir.
So we got some great partners that are already on board. Chaotica Eyeball, shout out to Conrad.
Yeah.
We have Universal Audio on board. Cali Audio, who's providing us speakers. Shout out to Nate. Hopefully we'll get our other partner on board, Slate Technology, Steven Slayton, and the Ravens and all that stuff. So we got some good technology partners.
That's right.
That are already on board. But we want to raise money to buy this unit so we can go ahead and outfit it and customize it and start taking it around the city and around the state.
That's right.
To just kind of expose these kids to the world of technology and music, and just have some fun. Pull it out and have the live DJ set up, and just take it into these neighborhood, man,
and give them something else better to do.
Right, because what we want to do, we want to go through and plant seeds.
Come on.
We want to plant seed. Yeah. So we in LaGrange and the kid comes out and they say, this is something that I want to do. Then we want to be able to plant that seed. And wherever we may take this bus. So, so that's the purpose of this treadmill-a-thon, is to start raising money for that. And it's gonna be a long process unless somebody just want to come and just drop us a big check.
I'm with you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but that's something that we've always wanted to do, is to build this unit. And then eventually, man, is to open up our own, center. Of course, we partner with Atlanta Parks and Recs. We have a technology center over in Dunbar, over in Mechanicsville, which is the only technology center in any Parks and Recs. We also partner with the Atlanta Police Foundation at Promise Center. So we have, we're in the one on Metropolitan and also the one over off of Campbellton behind the Walton Andrew Young YMCA. We're over there. And summer program we just wrapped up. We were doing programming over at Adams Park, where we also are teaching the kids how to screen print. So we have our own screen printing press.
That's right.
That one of my brothers, Stanley Clark, donated. Shout out to Clark.
Yeah.
And his partner Chris, they came in and set everything up and taught the kids how to screen print. And to be honest, man, that was probably eye-opening for me because these kids were so into that. I mean, it's fashion.
They love that.
They love it.
Yeah.
You know, coming up with their own designs, being able to print them, you know. So we're really getting ready to launch that off this fall. And we got a couple of more locations that we're looking at.
Yeah.
The event will be held at August 26th at the Welcome All Park.
All right.
Rec Center over in the city of South Fulton, where I live. You know, we wanted to make an impact over in that area because we got a lot of stuff going on in Atlanta. So, so we're going to have the event over there, and we're also in talks with the city about putting a studio, a technology center over there as well. Yeah. So got some great support, and man, we just ready to go, bro.
It's time for that, Rick. Yeah. It's time for it.
Yeah.
If anybody needs to contact you, man, how can they contact you? And is there anything that you want the people out here to know?
Man, for me, it's all about giving back, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm not telling, people to give back. And I'm just going to say it, give back to what we doing, because it might not be the thing that you're passionate about doing. But for anybody can give back. You can find something that you want to pour your money into. That's right. Hopefully it'll be kids, and that's what we work with, kids. So if that's the case, then you can go on our website, themeg.life, themeg.life, or you can, that's our website. If you want to make a donation, you can go to our Cash App, $ Music Ed Group, and make a donation. We're going to be kicking this thing off real soon. Okay, then. So you'll start seeing a lot. You start seeing a lot more stuff and hearing a lot more about it in the coming weeks. But yeah, man, we just looking forward to it. I'm ready. I'm ready for the treadmill.
I want to see you on that treadmill, Rick, because that don't make no damn sense. 12 hours.
12 hours, bro.
That's gonna be crazy. Y'all make sure y'all make y'all way out there to Welcome All to see exactly what's going on, man. Beehive Radio shouted, Rick Ross, the boss. Holla at y'all in a minute, man. We gone.